Welcome back to another GT Homes exclusive. Now that we have welcomed 2023, let's take a look at the patterns of 2022 to get a better idea of what lies in store for us this year. While the market has cooled as a result of rising interest rates, the strong demand for Canadian housing and vigorous growth within the industry ensures that the market will always bounce back. At the recent PMA CIBC Summit, titled A Year in Review, Andrew Bertheur, Executive Chairman of PMA Bertheur Realty Group, shared that despite the growing concerns, he sees a lot of the new changes as good news. On October 26, the Bank of Canada announced that they would increase the rate by 50 basis points, when 75 or 100 basis points were anticipated. This leads Bertheur to believe that we can expect smaller changes in the rate going forward. The Bank of Canada raised the rate by 50 basis points again on December 7th, which means the next rate announcement on January 25th will be less harsh. We predict this month will introduce an increase of 25 basis points, which will be replicated during the next rate announcement. After these hikes, we believe the rate will stay flat. The recent increases have caused rates to reach the highest levels we have seen since the early 2000s. However, in the 1990s, the average 3-year rate was 11.75%. The resale market has seen 4 months of stability from July to October. The number of sales, listings, and prices have been almost identical. Bertheur also touched upon Canada's housing shortage in the face of the country's rising immigration rates. From 2023 to 2025, Canada will welcome over 1.4 million immigrants, all of whom will need housing and many of whom will choose to settle in the GTA. Looking at these statistics, it is clear that Canada's real estate market, especially in Toronto and the GTA, will only be getting hotter. Benjamin Tal, Managing Director and Deputy Chief Economist at CIBC World Markets Inc., said that in order to understand the direction that the housing market is going, you have to understand the fight to bring inflation down to 2%. When presented with the options of inflation and recession, the Bank of Canada will always choose the recession as the lesser evil. To support the Canadian economy, the Bank of Canada must be very careful when raising or lowering the interest rates. Tal stated the Bank of Canada's decision to increase the rate by 50 basis points when the market gave them the green light to go 75 suggested that they're trying not to overshoot. Every economic recession was helped, if not caused, by central bankers raising the interest rate more than necessary. Often national banks raise interest rates without results, raise it again, and then overshoot. This mistake occurs because inflation is a lagging indicator that often peaks 6 months after the beginning of a recession. Despite this, it's hard not to keep increasing interest rates as inflation goes up. Therefore, the Bank of Canada will start taking baby steps towards increasing interest rates rather than stopping altogether. There's a reason to believe that the Bank of Canada will be able to masterfully bring down inflation without triggering a recession. Tal stated that there are 2 sources of inflation, demand and supply, of which the Bank of Canada can only affect the former. However, there's good news. Improvements within the supply chain have decreased the supply side's influence on inflation, meaning that the Bank of Canada is better able to curb inflation and the risk of overshooting is considerably lower. The hope is that the recession we're going into will not be a true recession. There will be no significant damage to the labor market as the economy will be shedding vacancy rather than jobs, causing the unemployment rate to only rise to about 6 to 6.5%. You might be wondering, when will rates start going down? Tal believes that the rates will start decreasing no sooner than early 2024, as the Bank of Canada must make sure they have completely demolished the issue of inflation before beginning to cut any interest rates. When lowering rates, Tal noted that the Bank of Canada will likely reach 3 to 2.75%, higher than the 1.75% overnight rate we had at the start of this process. This is because there are more sources of inflation in the current market, but the target of the Bank of Canada remains to keep inflation at 2%. This means interest rates must be higher to reach this target. As we can see, rates are slowly stabilizing and leading us out of inflation and into a stable and flourishing economy. In this environment, the housing market can continue to thrive. During COVID, prices increased significantly. Home buyers had the benefit of a recession with extremely low interest rates without the cost of a recession. Now the housing market has cooled down, which is considered by TAL very healthy. Rather than a meltdown, TAL states this correction is a relocation of activity in time. The Canadian housing market has repeatedly proven itself as a surefire source of investment returns. TAL notes that the stability of sales and housing prices demonstrates how strong the market is. The demand for housing is only getting stronger, and supply is barely catching up, ensuring a hot market for years to come. Considering these favorable conditions and Canada's more relaxed interest rate hikes, I believe that now is the right time to invest. In my opinion, the next 6 to 8 months is a window of opportunity, during which there will be a low demand and sales will be slow. Savvy investors should use this period to their advantage by taking action and reaping the benefits. Right now, developers must offer competitive prices and incentives. You are now able to walk into the sales center, choose the unit you want, receive excellent incentives and promotions, and on top of that, getting the best price. Let's compare the situation to 6 months ago. Developers were getting 3,500 worksheets for a building of 350 units, and prices were increasing by thousands of dollars a day. On top of all that, you couldn't even get a unit. There was not enough stock to meet the demand. Now the market has shifted in favor of buyers. It has transformed into an investor's market. The future of Canada is promising that we must keep looking forward. Pay careful attention to the numbers and focus on the long term. There will be an incredible amount of growth in the next 5 to 10 years and beyond. The number of immigrants, international students, and jobs in the GTA is soaring higher and higher every year, as there is not enough housing to accommodate all who want to live here. Rental rates are also skyrocketing. These are the numbers we should be looking at. The GTA's population will increase by 42% by 2046, and all of these people will need housing. This is why Canadian real estate is the best investment in the world. Things will change and demand will be back on fire again, because the amount of growth we have today is not enough to supply tomorrow. Stay well informed with all the help and guidance of our Platinum agents, who will ensure that you reach your investment goals. This has been another GTA Homes exclusive. Remember to subscribe and to visit us at gtahomes.com.